Hola, hello. It's a new year and Chat with the Monarch is back to start our 2023 on point. And guess what we're going to talk about today? None other than tax season. Are you all ready to file your taxes? If you're not, stay put and roll that intro because we're about to start. Welcome back. I hope you all had a grand time celebrating the year-end festivities because it's time to talk taxes. Now, if you're like me, I don't enjoy them as much as I enjoy the holidays. They can be a little bit overwhelming, but for that, to relieve our stress, I have, to begin our year, Jessenia Velasquez from SAS Multi-Services, our guest of honor of January. How are you, Jessenia? Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Rosaura. I'm excited to be the first 2023 visitor and guest of honor. So I'm excited for tax season 2023.
Me too. You know, it's so overwhelming to me, and taxes are like a love-hate relationship. You can live with them and you can live without them, right?
That's right. Like they say, there's two things in life, taxes and death.
Absolutely. But for taxes, you're going to help us out, relieve that stress. But before we get to the nitty-gritty, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself and your company?
Thank you. Well, again, my name is Jessenia Velasquez. I am the president and founder of SAS Multi-Service, and we are a group of professionals that help people like yourself, either you're an individual or a business owner, to relieve that stress about taxes. A fun fact about me is that I'm first generation Salvadorian parents, and also that I actually come from the medical field. And how I got into the business is I got laid off, and I decided that I wanted to learn about taxes and how I can help my community. And here I am 4 years later, and a group of professionals, a great team here at SAS. So I'm excited.
Wow, that's very interesting. Yes, and I didn't know that about you. And funny how destiny works, because I'm sure, you know, you went into the medical field thinking like, this is what I want to do
Exactly.
for the rest of my life, and things happen and you found your passion.
Exactly. That's something that I always tell my clients, and I told the community, that you have to find your purpose and your passion, because once you find it, there's no one that's going to stop you from there.
I love it. And definitely it is a passion for you. I know firsthand because you've had seminars for our brokerage and we've learned a lot of good information from it. But now we can start. But before we start, Yesenia, I do want to make something very clear to our viewers, that by no means are we giving you legal advice or telling you how exactly to prepare your taxes, because we all have to be mindful that it's tailored to each individual person and situation. Am I right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Disclaimer.
Yes, disclaimer. But I do have a lot of questions that my clients ask me, and I know that we have difference in individual taxes and business taxes. So what do you say if we start with that questions that I ask you? Let's start them in the individual side and then go into the business.
I love it.
Sounds good?
Yes.
Perfect. I have my set of questions here. First things first. What is the deadline to file taxes?
So great question, Rosaura. For 2023, the deadline is April 15th, but since in 2023, April 15th lands on a Saturday, IRS has decided that they're going to give us until April 18th, which is a Tuesday. But I don't want to see y'all April 18th at the office. I want to see y'all April 1st.
That would probably be me. Actually, no, that wouldn't be me, because my next question is, are we able to get extensions?
You are absolutely able to get extensions. A little bit about extension is that what you're doing is telling IRS that you're not ready to file taxes, but you have to pay your tax liability if you do have a tax liability. That's a lot of things that clients don't understand whenever they get that bill from IRS, is that they have to do the extension, just telling them IRS like, hey, I'm not ready to do my taxes, but that doesn't mean that they don't have to pay that tax liability. So that's something important to know.
Yes, I get that all the time, but it's just you have to gather all this information that I just don't have the time. But I will. Thank you for that information. My next question was, with that being said, what do I have to bring, or what do the individuals have to bring, whether it's individuals or business owners, so that you can file their taxes successfully?
Absolutely. So for individuals, we ask that you bring your W-2s, ID, Social Security, birth certificates of any dependents. Also, as a business owner, it is your responsibility of having all your business expenses in place. So that's something that you're gonna have to bring us whenever you are ready to do your taxes.
And you know what? We're not going to get into C Corps, S Corps, partnerships, none of that, because that's its own beast in itself, right?
Right.
But what I do want to know is, what are brackets and what do they consist of?
So they consist of, there's 7 different brackets, and it's between 10% to 37%. And based on the income that you've made, that's where it goes. And that's one thing that I do want to tell is that clients think that, okay, I made 100,000, and we're just using numbers right now, right? Because I don't know exactly the numbers, but let's say you made 100,000, that doesn't mean you're paying 37% on that tax bracket. It means that, okay, the first to $10,000, you're paying 10% on that taxes, and then the rest flow. It's like a bucket, if you want to see it like that. So every amount that you're making, that overflows.
Yes.
Exactly. It goes into a different bucket.
You see, that's why it is tailored to each specific individual. I keep saying that all the time because the shoe doesn't fit for everyone.
Correct.
And you know what? Also, what is the difference between a marginal tax rate and an effective tax rate?
So marginal is a higher, it's higher, and effective is where your income lands. So it's pretty much like if you see it as a graph. Yeah.
Does it go hand in hand with what we call taxable income and adjusted gross income, or it's completely different?
It's completely different, for sure.
Tell me about, especially for my clients that want to buy homes, what is the difference with taxable income and I kind of went over to the far end, but it's okay.
Yeah, no,
we're gonna get there.
Yeah.
The difference between taxable income and adjusted gross income.
So it means that basically your income that you're being taxed, but it's after deduction. So after the deductions, that's your AGI that most of y'all will see in a 1040 or in your tax return. So that is your adjustable income, because of depending on credits or deductions, that's what it lands on.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, I kind of like to see it as your adjusted gross income is basically what you're telling the government, this is what I made.
Exactly.
This is what...
Yes, because there's credits, there's deduction,
what I made,
exactly.
Right? Because I have deductions,
exactly.
Right? Okay, perfect, good to know. Now, how can I reduce my tax bill? Because if you have taxable income, obviously we would like to reduce taxes to get to our adjusted gross income. How can we do that?
So it depends. So first, individual, basically if you are a W-2, you either have credits, and depending on deductions, which it could be like donations, if you have charitable contributions that you've done, or retirement. And as a business owners, it depends on your expenses. You have a 1099 that if you're a subcontractor and you get a 1099 at the end of the year, and then you have to deduct expenses, that is what it reduces your tax liability.
For business owners, does it matter what type of business you're in to know which type of expenses you can deduct?
So it doesn't matter. It could be, you can be a DBA, an LLC, sole proprietor. But what matters is how you're classified with IRS, because a lot of people are getting killed with the self-employment tax. And a lot of people don't know that whenever you're DBA, you're self-employed and you're not structured. You can't be a structure either as an S Corp or C Corp. And then if you're an LLC, a lot of people make their own LLC through online because it's cheaper. But guess what? At the end of the year, a lot of them don't know that they have to either be structured as an S Corp, which is small corporation, is a classification with IRS. And then second, if you're in the state of Texas and you do an LLC here, you also have to pay franchise taxes. And that's something very important for people to know, that if you do have an LLC and you have no idea with the Texas comptroller, contact us, because we need to get you on board
everything.
And also, like, a lot of companies are forfeited and they don't know it. And guess what? I'm pretty sure you've been in a situation that you've sold a house or something, and we've been in they've called us and they're like, I'm the closing table and I can't close because my business is forfeited, and then we have to stop everything and get our lawyers involved. And
exactly, because you didn't file your franchise tax and you didn't pay for it.
I know we're all going through
but
it.
look, this is why it's a love-hate relationship in taxes, because there's so much information and we can go from one end of the spectrum to the next, and that's okay, because we're going to get back to the to where we're going, right? And with that, where we're going as far as like the deductions. What about like, if I'm a business owner, can I expense medical bills, and can I also expense the same as an individual?
So as an individual, you can't deduct medical expenses, but as a business owner, there is a percentage that you can deduct either from medical or dental. It's a really high percentage, but we can still add it there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. And what about the tax filing threshold for 2022?
The 2022 threshold is going to be starting at $12,500.
Which means that they don't start charging at the 12,000, or what does that mean?
So basically, a lot of people see it as like that is when you land in that tax bracket. It's kind of like even, but that's where it starts.
Okay, see. Yesenia, I think this is my favorite question to ask. What can you tell us about special credits and deductions?
So two of the special credits right now that we're seeing for 2022 is solar panels. I know that a lot of realtors are not fan or the real estate of solar panels. That's one of the credits that they have extended, and also retirement. A lot of people don't know that there's so much beneficial on, especially lowering the tax liability, that you can invest into a retirement plan. And also the third one is the electrical vehicles, and that's one thing I want to touch base on, is that a lot of people are purchasing vehicles and they might not qualify because either it has to be from 2019 till now, and then it has to be more than 6,000 pounds, and then I would suggest for you to call your tax advisor prior buying that vehicle.
And you know, I'm a little sad now that you say that, because, well, first of all, yes, we're not fans. Some of us are not fans, but we are fans of reducing taxes. But those three are not going to be beneficial for me.
Yes.
So what about child tax credits? Are there any this year?
So there's going to be child tax credit, and unfortunately, it's lowering from $3,000 to $2,000, and that is because of the whole pandemic situation, COVID. So everything about COVID is gone. It's no more stimulus, no more higher child tax credit or advanced child tax credits.
Okay, that's also good to know, because people are going to think, oh, I'm going to go and get this and get that, and you don't qualify anymore because that no longer pertains to tax year 2022. And one more, what about dependents? Can we still use that as a...
Yes, so you can use your dependents 19 years or younger, or until they're 24, but they have to be in school, which they have to be a student living under your roof.
Under my roof. Okay, see, that's another question, because what if he's a dependent that doesn't live with me? My little brother. But I can use that, right?
So if you're paying more than 50% of his expenses, you can add him as a dependent. And if he works, we would have to do his taxes and then add him as that he's a dependent on another tax form.
Mom, I'm coming back to my mom and tell her this, because we were actually wondering that. Okay, great. I love these questions and answers. I love getting the answers to the questions. And some of these weren't even mine. They were follower questions from our followers. They asked, which is better, a tax credit or a tax deduction?
So a credit lowers the tax liability, and the deduction lowers your tax income. So there's that difference between that.
Interesting. And what about, should I itemize or should I claim a deduction?
So that's a good question, but it all depends, because it's whichever is higher.
Okay,
and it depends on each situation.
Each individual, and if you're a business owner or not business owner.
Correct. Yeah.
That's why you ask your CPA. But you know what? At this point, what are the most common deductions that you see?
So most common is pretty much donations, student credits. If you're a student, make sure you get all your receipts. And also if you donate to a church, military, if you're in the military or somebody is in the military, because the traveling, all that, it's also helps.
Common deduction.
Yeah.
Question about the donations. Do they have to be certified as a nonprofit organization?
Yes, they
And is
do
there a
have to have
cap
documentation.
for receipts? Like, do you have to have a receipt for the
Correct.
donations?
Yes,
Okay.
I can give you an example. Like if it's a single individual that is earning $100K a year, right? And then they donate $20,000, that saves them like $1,500 in taxes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that's just to give you an example.
Good to know. Another question from the followers. I love this one. This was one of my clients. Do I have to pay taxes if I sold my primary home? I get this question a lot, by the way.
That's a great question, but it all depends how long did they live in it. Because if they lived in it more than a year, then if it for a single $250,000, it's not taxed, and then if it's married filing jointly, it's $500,000, which is $500,000. They don't have to pay taxes on that amount.
And you have to live in the property how long, you said?
More than 2 years.
More than 2 years.
Yes.
Which brings me to the next question, and this is just mine off the top of my head. What's the difference with capital gains and short-term capital gains?
So it's between a year or more. So short term is pretty much homes, stocks, bonds, and Bitcoin, or any NFTs. So in any tangible assets, right? So short term is when you keep that asset for less than a year, and long term is whenever you keep it more than a year. So short-term capital gains is taxed at the margin, the brackets, which is between 10% to 37%, and then long-term capital gains, it depends. It could be taxed 0, 15, or 20, and it depends on the amount.
When we talk about amount, is this on the profit you make after you sell the asset? Like, let's say the cost.
That is a good question, and yes, it's regarding the profit.
Okay.
Yes.
Good to know. And I have this one for one of my friends who is a freelancer. She wanted to know, is there a difference in how I file my taxes? Because basically they don't really get a 1099.
Correct.
And they don't have a W-2 because they're self-employed. So how does that work in that instance?
So she is a self-employed. Definitely, one, you need to get structured. That's one of the things that we've seen lately because of after COVID, everybody started doing side hustle, and next thing you know, they're opening a storefront and they don't have their LLC. So structure, S Corp, and then also organizing, making sure all your receipts are organized. Just to share, for 2022, the 1099K is not going to be provided because IRS decided that we're going to start in 2023 to start with Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, and any other platform that you are using to, if you're a freelancer and then you get paid, they are going to generate a 1099K. So that's something that you have to think about. And guess what? You're going to have your business structure so we can help with that tax liability at the end of the year, because we have to add the deductions, the expenses, and things like that. So if you're a freelancer and you're lost, contact me.
So are we saying take advantage for 2022 because it's not going to be here for 2023?
Exactly. It's giving you time to get structured and get prepared for sure.
Yes, for sure. And see, a little bit of a heads up doesn't hurt anybody. At least now you know. With that, there's a few questions that I just want to go over. Basically, what do you most commonly see as the number one mistake that clients come to you with?
I want to say self-employment tax, that they didn't structure correctly. Also, retirement. A lot of our family members or clients that they have retirements 401k and they withdraw that money. They have to ask before they withdraw, because one, they can say, oh, okay, well, I'll pay the taxes, but two, let's check on those penalties and things, because honestly, I'm going to give you an example. I had a client that he withdrew $400,000 from his 401k. He was 59, and guess what? He needed to be 59 and a half to avoid that penalty. And then now he's getting penalized, and then the taxes, and now he's paying $80,000 to the IRS.
$80,000?
Yes.
For 6 months?
He could have waited 6 months. So those are little things that, if you're in doubt, contact your tax professional, just because those are the little 6 months could have avoided this situation. So
that is very true. And what we get a lot in our real estate side is when you're applying for a loan, right? And you're applying for a loan and we're trying to get you your pre-approval, and for whatever reason they say you don't qualify at this point. So they kind of, the tax preparer helps them, this is what you'll need to do so you can be able to qualify next year, let's say, for example. But what I always like to suggest to my clients is before filing your taxes, if you already know you couldn't qualify previously, make sure that before you file, what you're submitting is going to be credible, you know?
Exactly. And that's what we do with our clients, honestly. You can look us up on Google. We have a 5-star review. Because not only we help you file your taxes, we help you plan for taxes and also plan for the future. Because let's say next year you want to open a business, you want to purchase a home, we're not going to be there and writing off all your expenses because we have a goal for you. Like, okay, you tell me I want to purchase a home. I'm going to be like, okay, Mr. Solis, you can't be writing off because your lender is not going to qualify. And that's where the value that we bring to our clients, because we ask them what their goals are. And I'm not trying to talk about anybody else out there, but a lot of other professionals have ruined that in our industry because they come and they just write off everything because they're promoting a higher refund or lowering their tax liability or committing fraud. And we don't commit fraud. So we make sure that we sleep at night and that your goals get accomplished.
That your conscience is clean at the end of the day, because you know, if I come to you and I want to file my taxes, I don't want the IRS to come at me the next day because I'm going to come and tell you it's all your fault. I'm kidding. No, but it's really not your fault. We need to be able to know if this is what I need to do in my business because you assist us in knowing what to do, then we just have to comply and follow the rules. Look, at the end of the day, you have to abide by the rules of the United States of America. And Uncle Sam, as much as you know that they provide to us too. So let's just pay our taxes.
Exactly.
It is what it is, right? And of course, if we can deduct something, then let's do it. So long as it's, you know,
it's just
legit.
Knowing the tax code and how to use it, because if we can help you and guide you in any way, let's do it previously, because now guess what? We're in 2023. We're not going to be able to go back in 2022 to help you on that. But guess what? Now we're going to be able to help you get prepared for 2024, because a lot of people think that tax season is just from January to April and that's it. No, it's throughout the year. And then after that is tax planning. Tax season is just a time to report your taxes. This is why, you know, I'm telling you, like, we do file extensions, but we're not a big fan of it unless you have the money ready to pay. Yes, you're gonna tell IRS, well, I'm not ready to file yet. But other than that, let's get you prepared. Another thing is, like, you know, like I tell my business owners, if you're not paying taxes, you're not making money. So we all have to be, you know, responsible on that as a business owner.
Of course, it's the same thing when I tell my clients, if you don't tell the government that you are earning income, how are you going to tell them that you can afford a home?
Exactly. And another thing is that IRS just hired 87,000 agents, and they're not looking for the big people. They're looking for us, the ones that are self-employed. Are we doing our taxes correctly? Are we reporting everything? Because yes, you can have all your bank statements and things like that, but what they want is proofs. So at the end, it's like I tell them, like, we don't need your receipts, but you do need to keep them at least for 4 years, because if any audit comes, you have that there. And just because they didn't audit you for 2021 or 2022, that doesn't mean that they're not going to come back, because they will come.
And now you just said the magic word, 4 years.
Yes.
Which means those 4 years, you better keep them under the colchon or something, because, but you know, now that you say that too, because as for me, I have a W-2 and 1099. So what would you suggest on, you know, individuals like myself when coming to you to prepare our taxes?
Okay, so first of all, you're a W-2, so that means that they're already withholding federal taxes, right? So let's put that one aside. Now, tell me about your business. Are you an LLC?
S Corp.
You're an LLC classified in as S Corp, because just FYI, the LLC and S Corp are not two different things. They're just LLC and then a classification, because a lot of people think they're different, but they're not. So it's just an IRS classification as how you're going to be taxed. And then second, so just know that you as an S Corp, S Corp taxes are due March 31st. So if you didn't know that, like that means that you before March 31st, you have to submit your S corporation taxes. Even though you're not ready for that W-2 and your personal taxes, we need to submit that, because that means with that form, it's going to generate it to be able to submit for your personal taxes. And then that's where your W-2 comes in place.
Well, I'm definitely not ready for that, but I will make myself ready. How many days do we have? I'm just kidding.
So yeah, this is a lot of things like, you know, especially if you're an LLC and S corporation, you need to know that it needs to be done by March 31st, and we suggest for you to get ready prior, because then there's penalties and interest, and we don't, just it gets going, and you know, years come, next thing you know, it's like, I filed late.
I know, but you know what's good though, that your office, and you can tell me a little bit more about this, they assist in your bookkeeping, so that by the end of the year, they have everything ready to go, because you've already, you know, booked the transactions and everything, and then, hey, here's your profit and loss, everything's good to go.
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit of what your office, the services from your office.
Absolutely. So SAS Multi-Service, we're a group of professionals. We have accountants, CPAs, and also lawyers that are in our team that help us with our clients. This is why we feel so confident on what we do, because we have the professionals that back us up. Second, we help employees, which is W-2, to do their filing of their taxes. That's just personal. If you're a contractor, that means that you have a 1099, so you are a W-2 1099 contractor. And then we have our CFO Basic program, which are membership. So those are monthly bookkeeping, accounting, tax, and then not only that, we do your monthly bookkeeping, accounting, but we provide CFO perks, like your reports. We're your chief financial officer. So
nice.
Because a lot of business owners don't know what they're making. Like they just live day by day. They wake up, they look at the bank account, and it's like, okay, well, I have money in the account. Let me just keep going. So it's knowing your numbers.
I know.
Knowing your numbers.
You know what's funny? It's because I relate to that back then. I was like, wait, what's going on? And the funny thing is that, you know, my background is accounting. So for me to do that, because I'm all over the place. And my, you know, my friends, family members, they already know that I'm all over the place. So when you say that, I'm like, yeah, been there, done that, but not anymore.
Yes.
We've all learned.
And it's hard, and it's
very
hard
hard
as a business owner, and this is where SAS come in place, because we alleviate that back office situation. Yes, maybe you're not ready to hire an in-house accountant. You hire us as your CFO, and not only that, we help you throughout a monthly bookkeeping, accounting, and then at the end, the taxes are included. So our clients,
they know what to expect.
Past year, yeah, for 2022, we were sitting with all of our CFO clients, telling them already what their tax liability was for 2023. So guess what? They're like, okay, $15,000. Okay, I have the savings, because why? You have to save at least between 10 to 30% of all the profit you're making on a monthly basis.
Such a great point. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yes, because that is for taxes. So guess what? They came and they're like, okay, I'm ready. Let me just, you know, we're ready to submit. Boom, let's go. If not, guess what? Maybe you have a machine that you can invest. You're a photographer. You need to purchase another camera. Something that you can invest back to the business. One is a tax write-off, and two, it lowers your tax liability. So that's where we come in place.
There you go. Well, see, Jessenia knows her stuff for sure. I am done with my questions, but you know what? I've learned so much, and I know that there's so much to go into detail. However, I can tell how passionate you are about the subject, and we can go more hours and more hours on it. But thank you so much for being with us today, Jessenia. Is there any advice that you'd like to give our clients?
I would just want to tell you that have your documents ready, W-2s, 1099s. And if you're, like I said, a business owners, have your numbers, all your expenses, because if you come to me and you don't have your expenses, then I'm going to have to be like, I'm sorry, we're not ready. And then fourth, call us. We don't charge for calls, emails. We're happy to help. So our team is ready, and we're excited for tax season.
In closing, Jessenia, thank you so much for bringing so much awareness when it comes to tax season, instilling valuable information. As I've mentioned, it could be overwhelming and frustrating at times, but Jessenia is here to help you lessen that stress. Do contact her. Her information will be down below. Don't be afraid to ask questions. It's always better to ask than regret it when it's already too late.
Yes.
Don't you agree?
I agree.
Thank you.
And one more thing, Rosaura, I'm so grateful for the invitation, that I want to mention that if you guys call us and mention that you saw us at the chat with the Monarch, we will give you a free consultation.
Aww.
What about that?
I love that idea.
Yes.
Wait, can I do one? No. Ya no cuenta,
Yes.
ya no cuenta. I'm kidding.
You just had your consultation right here.
I just did.
Chat with the Monarch.
That is so, that's amazing. Thank you so much. I'm pretty sure that our viewers please take advantage of the opportunity, guys. Like I said, this is your time to ask the questions that you need to get you ready for tax season. Guys, before we leave, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on your notifications to catch us on the next Chat with the Monarch 2023.
Here we go.